Give it up for Myles, Gregory, with some of the highest.
Yo, what up, Myles? It's Connor. That was a great freestyle. I clicked it at plus 71 minus 7. And first, I'm going to talk about some things you did well, trick wise and performance wise, and then I'll hop into some things you could improve on. So, some things you did well, trick wise. There were some very great tricks in there. Your trick diversity overall was pretty good, I think. And I think your best combos in the freestyle were your horizontal combo, especially because it was really fast and had some really high difficulty tricks in it. And you got through it real quick. I think that was probably your best combo in my opinion. And then your leg combo was also very good. And your a couple of your regen combos were pretty quick and pretty efficient and looked really strong. And then overall, you yo-yoed very fast throughout the freestyle, which definitely helped your tech score a good bit. If you yo-yoed even 10% slower than that, which might have been a regular pace for most players, your tech score would have been quite a bit lower, which is good. And one thing you did well is during your hop combo, which was like 20 seconds into your freestyle where you had those music cues, it was really well choreographed, so that was cool. And then also, yeah, overall, the freestyle was very well executed. Yes, you did have -6 major deduction, but -7 overall for a 2-minute off-string freestyle isn't too bad. It's actually fairly good. And yeah, I mean, it's just a bit unfortunate that a couple of those 7 mistakes were a lot more devastating than the rest of them. You know, you kind of got a little unlucky there, but it happens. And so, yeah, performance-wise, some things you did well. I mentioned the cues with the hops. That's supposed to be performance, but whatever. The recapture combo, which was at about 1 minute and 5 seconds into the video, that was very smooth and very well choreographed. I really liked that part of the freestyle. That was definitely one of the stronger parts in terms of choreography. I liked that. And oh yeah, also, you didn't ignore the audience. There were a handful of times where you acknowledged the crowd and tried to have good showmanship, which is good. Some people just don't even acknowledge the audience, which is not cool to see. And then, yeah, I think, yeah, those are the trick things and the performance things that stood out to me. And so, I'm going to quickly go over some things that I think you could improve on. First of all, trick-wise, I mentioned your hop combo, but it was well choreographed, but I do think it was a little bit repetitive with like the amount of like little tiny bounces you had. Like it was choreographed well, so I think it's a good I think it's a fair drawback. But I think overall it's not like the highest scoring combo in the world, but I think it still scores fairly well since you do it so fast. And then your arm combo was also a bit repetitive. You did do it very quickly, but I remember you did the regular arm orbit 4 different times. So like you threw it into the arm orbit, then you did the arm orbit again, then you did some other stuff back into the arm orbit, and then some other stuff back into an arm orbit. So you did it 4 times, which is a little repetitive. You might get away with that at a smaller contest, but at like US Nats or Worlds, for example, the judges are a lot more experienced and they're gonna see the repetitive arm orbits and they're not gonna click those. Like things don't get past them as easily. And so that's the arm combo. And then another thing, oh yeah, you did. I'm just kind of naming repeated things. Like you did that over the head front style whip. You did a 360 at one point, but then later, at the very end of the freestyle, you did a normal version. So you kind of did the same trick twice. So just to remind you of that, the second time I didn't click it. I don't think. Maybe I did in the video. Hopefully not. And then you could improve trick originality, of course. Like some of your tricks were exact copies of other people's tricks, and if not copies, very very similar. I think there were a few tricks that stood out to me as pretty original, but for the most part, they look like copies. But that's okay. I mean, like, it's kind of it's hard to innovate tricks, of course, and so learning how to get good at execution is what you need to do first, and then once you get really good at execution, then you can start making your own tricks, you know? So just something to remind you of. Now, performance-wise, you could always use more choreo, of course. I think you had a few good choreography cues, but you could always use more of them. That's why your choreo score was like I don't know, like a 3 or something. I don't know. I haven't checked the scores super intently, but yeah, that's that. And then, yeah, While you did have showmanship, your showmanship seemed very off-putting and somewhat inappropriate for the performance you were doing. Go ahead and check out these 3 clips that I took of some of your showmanship cues. There you go. As you can see in those clips, you were getting so hyped, like insanely hyped, like, you know? And you saw the clips. And the reason I say this is inappropriate is because it doesn't match the mood of what the rest of your freestyle is. So, like, here's what I mean by this. It's kind of like, if you listen to the song you were using in your freestyle, it is a pretty exciting song. Like, it's a bit hyped, you know, like it's an exciting, it's like a dubstep song, but I would say the expressions you made in those showmanship cues weren't nearly as high. Oh wait, your song wasn't nearly as hyped as your expressions were, right? So you were like, if you had your the hype level of your music, if it was here, the hype level of your expressions is like super high, and it's a little off-putting. Like, I was judging, I was at the judges table, and when you started doing that, I was like, ooh, oh dude, just calm it down a little, please. That's what I was thinking. So yeah, that's what was going through my mind. And yeah, there's only 2 situations that I can think of where that level of hype is appropriate. I would say if you're performing to like heavy metal or some like extremely intense music, I can maybe see it working. And if you're doing like the best yo-yo performance of all time and doing like the best tricks anyone's ever seen, and you're like hitting a flawless freestyle like towards the end of the freestyle, I can imagine someone getting that hyped and it being like a normal and acceptable thing. But I feel like in the context you were in, I feel like those cues were a little out of place. That's all I have to say. Finally, the biggest thing I think you should be working on is body control. And mainly, I would say you need to control your facial expressions the most. Let me show you what I mean. I took a few screenshots of some of the faces you made on stage. So, oh yeah, here's the first one. So this, your tongue's out, and I understand, like, it's like kind of goofy and it's fun to like have your tongue out and stuff, like Michael Jordan style or whatever. And Shinji Sato, I think, has done it in the past and has gotten away with it pretty much. But I would personally just avoid sticking your tongue out in general, because in the International Yo-Yo Federation rules, in the actual rules, when it talks about body control, it says like, it talks about a few things to look out for, like bad facial expressions, and like it mentions sticking your tongue out for some reason. And I personally don't think sticking your tongue out is like super bad control of your body, but that's the way the International Yo-Yo Federation makes it out to be. So I would just recommend not to do it, but you can do it if you want, but that's kind of iffy for me. And then the next screenshot. Oh, gotta go up a little closer. Yeah, this is one of the faces you made throughout the freestyle where you're just like super, super focused, and yeah, you're breathing hard. You know, like these tricks are really exhausting, I'm sure. And that's one of the faces you were making. It does not demonstrate control of your face at all. You're very tense, very stiff. This is like, you made this face while you were throwing a yo-yo one time. Like, the judges do see this, and they kind of like, it just shows them that you don't have like a ton of control over your facial expressions, things like this. Oh yeah, this one. This is the face you made when your yo-yo went off the stage. So, to be fair, I would say most of the judges, if not all the judges, weren't even looking at you at this moment. They were probably looking at the yo-yo that was flying over their heads. But like, just in general, when you make mistakes, try not to show the judges that you made a mistake, right? Like, when you make a big mistake, just try to be chill and like don't let it phase you at all, because if the judges see that the mistake is affecting you mentally and emotionally, it shows that you don't have professionalism and that you just simply don't have control of your face. And then this lastly is like the expression you made when you finished your freestyle. So like, obviously you weren't fully content, you were a little disappointed, right? You were almost flawless for most of the freestyle, and then you just bombed at the very end, which is very unfortunate. But like, you want to avoid at all costs doing this, like at the end of a freestyle, because when you do this, you're showing the judges that you are not content, that you think you did poorly. All right, and if you think you did poorly, you're convincing the judges that you did do poorly. So instead, let's pretend you finish the freestyle and you act all happy and excited, and you have a look on your face like, dude, I just hit my best freestyle I've ever hit, which it was. Then the judges probably would have given you slightly higher evals overall. I'm just being, I'm just kind of playing around like a little, theoretical. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm trying to be theoretical. Like, you never know. Like, if you have a better attitude at the end of your freestyle, the judges might have you might have influenced them to believe that your freestyle was better than it really was, you know? So I would avoid just at all costs to look like you're defeated, right? It's super, super important thing. As you can see, a lot of those facial expressions I pointed out are simply because you're really, really focused and the tricks are really difficult and the tricks are kind of exhausting and whatnot. Like, I struggle with this too. Like, I'm not like the best showman in the world by any means. I still have like a serious demeanor on stage, kind of like the way you do. But what I try to do is I try to like have my face really straight and like very like, you know, like not being like, you know, I'm just trying to be chill. I would recommend, if you're super, super focused on your tricks, try to practice like just having a straight face instead of trying to look, you know, all different faces you can make. Like, try to practice just having a straight face and just having like a monotone neutral face at the least. And then once you try to build your own showmanship, you can start to practice smiling and other small gestures. But I feel like the borderline focus face, you should try to make it more chill. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I have a screenshot here of one face that you made that I think is a good example of what you should do. Here it is. It's this face. It's during your hop combo. You know, you look chill, right? In this part of the freestyle, you don't look like you're like struggling to hit your trick. You're actually chill, right? So imagine if you had this face for a majority of your freestyle. I feel like your body control would have been significantly higher if you just came across as a bit more chill on stage. That's what I think. So yeah, overall, a pretty good freestyle, I'd say. For nationals, I would recommend to focus on just being more calm on stage, and even Takumi Hakamoto, which I can tell is your favorite player just by watching you. He arguably has the best tricks, but at the same time, he still stays relatively calm on stage. He does have his facial expressions too, but like, you can just tell that his body is overall very, very controlled, and like, it's a tough skill that takes a lot of time. But if you're consciously reminding yourself of like, oh, I don't want to look like that, I want to look like this. Like, watch some Hajime Foray, like his Shanghai freestyle. He literally did the best Foray freestyle ever, in my opinion, and he stayed so calm. Like, he's just like, he didn't even skip a beat, you know. And so those are just some things to think about. Try to focus on just being more calm on stage, I guess. And that's like the biggest thing, in my opinion. It just looks like you were no chill the entire time. Like, I understand the hype level, but it is possible to be super hyped and have a super exciting freestyle, but at the same time being pretty chill at the same time. It's totally possible, and I think it's better, in my opinion. It just makes your body control better. So yeah, overall, that's it. Sorry if the video's a little long. It's not because like I thought your freestyle's bad or anything. It's just because like I love to analyze freestyles. So yeah, that's just me. But see you later, Myles. I hope you have a great day, and I can't wait to see what you bring to nationals, dude. See ya, man.